Here it is. I thought I would do a bit of a show and tell about the Divine Gypsy Mother. This is my book and deck set that has just been shipped by Scarlet Imprint. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the deck and the cards, show you off this beautiful set that the Scarlets have produced with such love and care, and flip through the deck so you can see what it's about and discuss a little bit of some of the differences and changes that have been made to the traditional Gypsy cards. And if you don't know yet, the Divine Gypsy Mother is based on Significators, which is basically an 18th century oracle deck, and it shares some DNA historically with the Lenormand. It comes out of that same sort of lineage of playing card based divination, and our version is a reboot. So we've done it with fresh new art by Alexander Danilov, and produced it with this beautiful gilt edition. It comes in this gorgeous jewel case, velvet, and covered with this gorgeous fabric with gold foil and so on. It really is very special. And there are some subtle changes to the traditional Gypsy iconography. I've expanded some of the cards slightly in their meaning, while still sticking to the sort of historical basic essence of the cards. I've just added some flourishes, and I've tweaked it a little bit here and there, and we will get into that in a second. But it's all here in great detail in the book, and as you can see, it's a nice hefty tome, and I share everything that I've learned in my research and my work with this deck. And I start you from the basics with the 2-card cut, and then I build you up with simple technique, 3 cards, 4 cards, then crosses, cross spreads, and the grand cross, and then onto the Gypsy grand tableau. Lots of different techniques for the Gypsy grand tableau, and then finally my crowning jewel, my fancy schmancy astrological tableau that incorporates lots of astrological symbolism and aspects and all kinds of fancy things. So you can work with it in a simple way, or you can work with it in a very sophisticated way, and that's the beauty of the Gypsy cards. The thing to keep in mind about them is that, you know, you can work with them in a very simple way. Almost immediately out of the box you'll be able to get a reading with it. Even if you were just to read the titles on the cards, you know, you'll be able to get a hit there pretty much off the bat, right? So it's very intuitive, it's very straightforward, and what I encourage people who start with the system is not to overcomplicate it, just to stay with the essence of the card meaning. It's important to remember that, like the Lenormand, the Gypsy uses significators. And in this system, we use the lover and the beloved cards to signify either the querent of the same sex as the card chosen, or their partner, lover, or, you know, desired other. And in the Divine Gypsy Mother, we've included a second set of significators that features the traveling people. And we've in fact included the traveling people in quite a few of the cards. As you can see, we've got a traveling person here, a gypsy lady, on the Desire card. On the Merriment card, we've got a beautiful troupe there dancing, making music. And then also on the Travel card, I'll show you a little bit later, we've got a gypsy caravan. And we really wanted to do this for several reasons. Firstly, part of the reason that I created this deck is I was inspired by a Gypsy spirit guide, and as you know, I'm a spiritist, and in Spiritism Gypsy guides are very well loved and celebrated. that commission of spirits is a very famous and, how shall we say, streetwise a group of spirits that really are connected to divination. They're connected to having fortitude in life, being streetwise, as I was saying, and so on. And so I really wanted to create a gypsy version of the gypsy cards that honored the traveling people by having them, portrayed in the iconography, which traditionally they haven't been, even though the deck was titled in this way. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to take out the extra set of significators. If you can choose which you prefer. And then, of course, the beauty of this is that if you're doing a reading for a same-sex couple, you can have 2 male significators if need be, or you can just mix and match them based on your aesthetic preferences. But you want to take this extra set out when you do the reading, because otherwise you're going to have too many significators in the set. Yeah. So I want to take you a little bit through the cards here one by one. I flip through so you can see what they're about. Here we go. We've got the Desire card. As I was saying, it's got a traveling person there. Yeah. Money, merriment, including some gypsies, the Judge, fidelity, and cleric. And this was in fact one of the first cards that Alexander sent through, and I was so delighted to see it because we wanted to change it. Normally the cleric or the priest or the ecclesiastic, as it's sometimes titled, is shown doing mass in a church. So we wanted to have it be more based on nature mysticism, and of course Saint Francis of Assisi came to mind, and this is from that lovely story where he is preaching to the birds. So we see the birds there and so on, and the cleric card really signifies our spiritual condition, our connection to the divine, our connection to spiritual beings, including spirit guides, angels, and so forth, and our spiritual condition, our spiritual health. So we use this card to diagnose that often. And of course, Saint Francis of Assisi is a very well-loved saint, connected to animals and nature mysticism. You see even the little fishes there are listening to his preaching. And then there's the Fortune, marriage, falseness, another cheeky little card there. We've got masks there, we included that's new in the iconography. And then we've got little money. Now, in my version of the Gypsy system, I really rely more on the Dutch interpretation of the Gypsy cards. And in the Dutch system, little money has a more pessimistic interpretation. Traditionally, little money can mean a small sum of money coming in, something like that. But in the Dutch interpretation of the card, it means lack of resources, or things being there's being some scarcity. So that pessimistic element is shown here in the card. Having said that, if you want to use the more standard meaning, or you're used to that for whatever reason, then feel free to do so. Why not? But we've included I've worked with that meaning. We've got hope, unexpected joy, widow, and widow and the widower cards are interesting. They are not as pessimistic in the Gypsy system as the titles would have you believe. They aren't really connected to bereavement. So when you see that card, don't think you're going to suffer from bereavement or be a widow or anything like that. It's usually used as a significator for an older or elderly person, such as a parent. And then it can also show someone being single, or someone being independent, a woman being independent and being, or going through a period of wanting to be more introspective and by yourself. So that's the main meaning, aside from it being a significator. We use the widow and the widower in much the same way as we do the lover and the beloved. So there's personal significators. Then there's the gift card, risk, and in our system, again, because of the Dutch my sort of immersion in the Dutch way of reading the Gypsy cards, the risk card takes on a more positive meaning. Normally it's translated as loss, and the Dutch read it more as being risk or taking a chance. So it's got a slightly more positive aspect. There is some warning in the card that you need to be careful in whatever you're attempting, that there is some risk in it. And you can see by the faces here, these characters look rather shady. So it's warning of something like that, but it's not quite as pessimistic as loss outright. Yeah, and the iconography and our choice of the title reflects that. Message, misfortune. Here's another one that has a strong departure from the traditional pattern. The traditional pattern normally shows a house on fire with people fleeing the house, and so we've changed that and to a sinking ship, and also on fire, and we see a sailor clinging there to a rock for dear life. So a more dramatic rendering, but I think I find it quite evocative and wonderful. Visit, death, beautiful. Look at that. He tolls his bell. Oh, I love this card. It's so gorgeous. Malady, sickly old woman. Child normally is rendered as baby, and then it shows a little baby wrapped in swaddling in most versions of the Gypsy, but in our version it's more like a toddler and with his toys and so on. So it's not much of a difference in the meaning, but we've just, instead of baby, we've gone with child. And then thought, and this we've given a bit slightly more of an occult dimension and connected more to study. So we've included books, we've included memento mori there, alchemical alembics in the back. You can see a Kabbalistic square and so on. So this card is more connected to ideas, thinking, studies, profound concepts and so on, right? Anger and constancy, and this is one that is also a bit of an update. Traditionally the constancy card is just shown as the Eye of Providence, so we've just got the Eye of Providence, and because the constancy card is used as a theme card typically for career, work and so on, we expanded its symbolism a bit more. We included a mason working on a stone slab. We've got a cathedral being built there, and so to evoke more of that idea of building. Some have noted that it reminds them of the Three of Pentacles, which I think is fine. And then of course if you're for the perceptive viewer, you'll see that there is a little bit hint of the strength card there in the slab, because constancy, the virtue, that virtue is somewhat cognate to this virtue of strength. So I thought it was appropriate to include it in there. Journey, which as I mentioned includes our Gypsy caravan. Look at that beautiful piebald Shetland, or I think, what is it, I don't know enough about horses, but I'm so thrilled with this card. The texture of these cards is very silky, very creamy and delicious. Some people, note that they're a bit, they tend to clump a bit due to the finish on the cards. But if you shuffle them a few times, that sort of lessens. So don't stress about it. It's real well worth it because it's very creamy and delicious. The house card, love, sadness, and this one we've included. Lady, she's just received a sad letter, maybe a breakup letter, and you can see she was reading the cards. Little dog, jealousy. Look at that menacing character there in the bushes. The thief card, another one I love, making off with a goose. You can see he just escaped from the castle. It looks like he stole a boot and stuck it on his foot on the way out the door. I love that. Officer, widower, enemy lurking there in wait. Letter, some good news. The beloved, the traveling lady, and the lover, another traveling person. And two significators. And that's it. That's a bit of a walkthrough of the cards, and I will in the coming time, next few months, I'll be going through the book and illustrating some examples, using each of the different techniques, and teaching people how to work with the cards on the YouTube channel. So that if you want to learn how to do that, just stay tuned, subscribe, and so on. And if you haven't got the Gypsy, the DGM yet, or the Divine Gypsy Mother yet, I'll link it down below, and you can go onto the Scarlet's website and order it. I was very lucky to receive a lovely review from Foolish Fish, and I was so thrilled about that. And he included it in his top, I think, divination tools of 2023. So already it's been getting some really good reviews. And of course, if you know Scarlet Imprint, you know that the quality of their books and their products, are quite unparalleled. Each card I give really extensive treatment. I go really deep into it, giving keywords, the essence of the card, orientation, whether it's neutral, negative, or positive, because the Gypsy cards have got a polarity built into them, timing, personality characteristics for describing people, advice for each card, astrological attributions, how to use a card to find lost objects, and even health indicators. I also include technique for reading on whether there is any black magic, curses, hexes, and that sort of thing, how to read accurately on these kinds of things, and how to read about relationships, work, career options, anything, very practical, mundane questions. The Gypsy is really great at giving very accurate readings on it. It is a very, very accurate oracle. This is one of the things that you will notice if you work with it. And then I also want to mention that in celebration of this, I have launched a new line of candles, vigil lights called the Gypsy Vigils on the candle ministry, and they feature our beautiful Gypsy card labels and for setting lights. And then there are also special card combos which are converted into candle combinations, so we can actually spell out magical effects using the Gypsy system. And I've been getting some really wonderful feedback and reviews from people who are having great results with that. So if you want to support me, go onto the website, order some Gypsy candles there. We set some vigils for you and do some magical work for you. Of course, you can always send me a coffee, link down below, and you're welcome to come to me for a Gypsy card reading. I do a grand tableau reading with this if you need, and of course I always use this. Any client that has come to me over the last 5 or 6 years or so will undoubtedly have had a Gypsy card reading with me. So this is one of my main tools that I always use, of course, which is why I went to the lengths of writing a book about it and producing a new version of this deck. So that's it. That's the Divine Gypsy Mother. It's quite surreal actually seeing it finally after all these years of working on the project, and it really is so magical and special. And not to toot my own horn too much, but this is not due to my own brilliance. It's really more due to the Scarlet Imprint standard of production, is that this is one of the most beautifully produced sets of cards I have ever seen. Look at this gilt, gold gilt. Look at these backs. They're creamy and gorgeous. And this box, this is a proper jewel case box, the sort you would find an expensive watch or Rolex or something in, and it's with gold gilt in there. Honestly, I have so many cards in my collection, and this is quite frankly the most beautiful set I own. And I'm not just saying that because it's my project. I'm being quite sincere in that. So everyone who's received their copy has waxed lyrical about this. So you will certainly enjoy it, and I look forward to hearing from everyone and how they work with it.